Welcome to the PracticeBloom podcast. We supply breakthrough marketing tips and techniques for those medical practices looking for more patients and more profits. So I'm very excited to talk to Barry Moore, who Barry and I've had a couple of conversations before, I think probably last year, talking about funnelization strategies and moving the process into automation and really a lot of cool stuff Barry's been up to. Barry, can you just give us the 2-second overview? And because I think you've got some great thunder in your background that people could understand and sort of where, you know, the what's Barry up to today? Let's just go from there.
What is Barry up to today? Barry was catching up on some sleep. So I've been doing a lot of traveling, was in the States. So I live in Australia, on the east coast of Australia. So we're in the States for the last few weeks. One of the reasons I was there for Russell Brunson's Funnel Hacking Live event, which was great. Great to hear some really sharp marketers talking about different strategies and have a whole notebook of ideas here to implement now that I'm back home. So at the moment, I'm up to, I've run a community for people who want to learn how to use marketing automation and funnels. And so I'm madly creating content for that and also going back through kind of my businesses and taking the lessons that I learned from Funnel Hacking Live and looking at where I can apply them in my own business and help my students and academy members put it into their business. So lots of stuff happening in this end of the world.
Great. And so I have a question for you. Before we even get into the sort of meat and potatoes of the stuff that you do, which I think really fits well into working with the markets that we serve and the markets that would make a great impact for this sort of production work that you do. What's a fun fact about you that we don't know?
Well, there's lots of fun facts about me. Just depends on the rating of the show, I guess. But let's see, what's a fun fact for me? A fun fact for me is at the moment I am chasing a goal of running a marathon on every single continent on Earth. So I've got 2 down. I was running one in North America when I was there, but unfortunately I had an injury and I couldn't finish that. So I've got to do North America once again. But I am, so I've done Asia. I did a Mongolia marathon through the mountains of Mongolia last year, and I've done one in Australia here, obviously. But I've got them all mapped out. Finishing off with one in Antarctica. There's actually a marathon in Antarctica, so that's going to be the finish.
Who would have thought that would have been something that people would go, you know what? Let's put a marathon in Antarctica. Let's see. That will be a big draw. We'll probably have a lot of people at that one. I'm sure that
it actually is. Like there's like a 2-year waiting list or something like that to get in. So
that's what I said. That's a unique, like, once in a lifetime thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I was going to say that I know that the things that I know about you are that you're a pilot. Were you doing QLink for a while? Is that what your main?
Yeah, that's right. I just finished up yesterday. It was my last day there. So I run my marketing business and I still fly part-time. So because I like flying, and if I'm going to fly airplanes, I'd rather have someone else pay for it than pay for it myself. So
what was your favorite plane in QLink? Obviously, this Qantas is sort of secondary brand.
I was flying the Dash 8 Q400, which is it's probably the most advanced commercial turboprop, 74 seats, 29 tons, really fast, 360 knots, which is super fast for a turboprop. Very advanced, really nice airplane to manage. It was good fun, but it's time to move on to other things. But yeah, so that was good. I got to see obviously heaps and heaps of Australia, which a lot of parts people don't normally get to see. So it's been great.
Did you fly the Fokker as well?
That's what I'm going on to next, actually. I'm going to go fly the Fokker 100, which is the jet. So
that sounds exciting. Well, keep us updated on that side. I want to hear how you feel that that looks like a really cool thing to fly. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
it does. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. So we want to get into really the three things that we talk about, and we talked this about probably 5 to 10 times a day. I have this discussion. All right, it's ActiveCampaign, ClickFunnels, and WordPress. Right, every single day when we talk to medical practitioners is really where this is focused at, but it does apply to everybody who uses the funnelization tools to drive behavior from a educational standpoint for introduction, investigation, decision, commitment, and then down to close. We really look at trying to sort of separate out the pieces of the engagement process in order to drive an attraction model that works. So in a lot of cases, what we're finding is that there's retargeting, there's different versions of how you want to refine the funnels at the bottom to, segment out your practitioner requirements. So if you have let's say you're looking for someone to do, I'm going to take a typical example. Let's say you're a medical spa and you want to derive a patient who's interested in, let's say, Botox, which is a fairly common procedure. Well, you've got to get them aware of you, and then you've got to attract them with an offer, and then you've got to bring them through to the conversion stage where they're going to actually make a decision, and then the engagement process. I wanted to ask you from ActiveCampaign side, there's a lot of pieces to it, and they are extending and expanding. What have you seen in ActiveCampaign that's new that we might want to know about that you've experienced, and some best practices that you've seen?
Well, stuff that's coming out at the moment has to do more with e-commerce. So they've just released a number of e-commerce integrations with like Shopify and BigCommerce. WooCommerce is probably coming next, so that you can suck in all the purchase data from those particular platforms and have that inside ActiveCampaign, and then use those as triggers inside ActiveCampaign. So if you could say, like, show me everyone who spent over $2,000, or show me everybody that's bought in the last 30 days, or stuff like that, right? And so maybe necessarily apply to the healthcare industry so much, but one feature that's been there for a little while that is really, really underutilized that could probably help all the listeners here is goals. Now, I don't know how much your listeners are using goals, but there's a super powerful feature that allows you to keep track of, as the name implies, keep track of goals and how efficient certain automations or certain messaging is at moving the person down the next line of your marketing. So you talked about those different phases of marketing. So you've got cold traffic and warm traffic and hot traffic, people who are problem aware and people who are solution aware. And you're trying to move. I always use a train track metaphor where, you're trying to build a train track. And there's, at one end of it is people know, like, and trust you, and they're raving fans and repeat customers. The other end of that train line is out in the boondocks somewhere, and that's someone who's never heard of you or just heard of you. It's their very first exposure to you. You want to get them on that train line, and then you want to move them from station to station to station, until they get to Grand Central Station and are raving fans. So all your messaging needs to have that goal in mind of moving them to the next station down the track. And those goals can be used to measure how effective that is. So if we're trying to move someone from an indoctrination sequence or an introduction sequence into an upsell sequence, or some sort of sequence that gets them to book an appointment and come in and talk to us, how effective was that sequence in achieving that goal? The goal is to get them into the office, or get them to book an appointment. So how effective is that? So the goals will keep track of that. They'll say, right, this particular automation was 75% effective in getting people to book. And then once you're armed with that information, then you can tweak that automation and make it better. And then the other thing you can use hand in hand with that is their new automation split testing features. So within an automation, you can have a couple of different paths, and you can send, half the people down path A, half the people down path B, and then you can see whether path A or path B converts better to whatever goal you're trying to get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so let's take it from an example. So we'll go back to the Botox example, and then we'll do another sort of healthcare-related example. So in the case of the Botox. So let's say they're on Facebook. They see learn about the top 10 things that you can improve with the Botox solution. Click here. So they click there. They get to the landing page. And on the landing page, it says, great, here's a little video introduction to some of the things that you'll be able to accomplish by having this special injection or whatever it might be for the Botox solution. Download this guide. Then the guide goes to them, and now you've created that automation string behind that with the string of emails that follows up in a, let's say, XYZ timing. So it might be they get one instantaneously, or they get one the next day, and then they get another one 3 days later, and they get another one 6 days later. And then what we could do in this particular case you're talking about, which is that we could do maybe a couple of different cadences with different language. Always when people get emails, there's a kind of option to check and see if the headlines are good, to make sure that maybe the offer now needs to be placed in like the third email where they maybe haven't opened anything. So now that they get to the third email, maybe there's an option where there's hey, by the way, we have a $50 gift certificate if you'd like to take advantage of this. It's going to be good for the next 3 days. Click here to get so there's all sorts of variations of a theme once you get the person's email. And that's really ActiveCampaign's role in trying to do the remarketing and the email piece, where there's a opportunity to kind of create different types of commitment strategies to try and get someone through. Maybe we could just do a quick another example. Now, let's say it's a spine surgeon who is looking to provide his expertise in, let's say, robotic spine surgery. Same thing. We'll just do a ad coming through Facebook. There's a picture of a robotic spine piece of equipment. And then, have you learned about robotic spine surgery, the latest thing in minimally invasive spine surgery? That goes to a landing page. Again, same thing, video with some language here. Click the button to get the top 5 things that are new that's happening in spine surgery that you'll know can give you a painless or pain-free or painless from a standpoint of comparatively to some other type of surgery. And we can just put in any type of vernacular in there, but the concept would be, again, now you run emails, you present your case over a period of time, and maybe within that framework you offer some sort of like free MRI offer, or even some sort of investigative solution for the potential patient. And then again, different tracks, as you mentioned, where you could go down the decision-making track that could be something along the lines of case studies, video case studies being sent as emails. There's all sorts of things you can do once you set the automations up. But as you mentioned, if you're not measuring your goals, then you don't know which ones are being successful. And if you can A/B test them against each other consistently, you've really got yourself a model for improvement.
Yeah, and if you even take a step back from that, what I find a lot of the time is with customers and clients that they'll have that opt-in, because everyone, it seems all the online marketing stuff that's out there is all talks about, talk about funnels, and they talk about opt-ins and landing pages and lead magnet offers and stuff like that, and how to get someone's name into your list, which is great. But very few people are talking about what happens after you get their name onto your list, right? So, you'll have people who go, we're gonna offer them this lead magnet video or PDF or whatever. We're going to get them on the list, and we're going to put them in this sequence that sends them, in your example, 5 emails. And then my next question is always, all right, what do you want them? What's the goal of that sequence? And they'll be like, what? Well, you're sending them 5 emails. What do you want what do you want that lead to do at the end of that 5 email sequence? What's the call to action? What's the next step on the train line? So a lot of the time, they don't even have an answer for that. They're just sending them emails to send them emails, right? So in your Botox example, for maybe it's to get them to come in, right? It's to get to come in and book an appointment, or maybe it's to get them to come to an information session that you're putting on at lunch somewhere at a restaurant for something, right? So, but there's a clear goal that you're trying to get that person to take. So I want them, let's say it's to come in for an appointment. I want them to come in for an appointment. So they've consumed my free lead magnet information. So that follow-up sequence might go, we're going to reiterate the information that was in the lead magnet. We're going to provide some social proof about why I'm a great practitioner at Botox, and here's some case studies and some testimonials. And then I'll hit them with an offer, and then I might sweeten it with, like you said, a 50% discount, $50 discount to come in, whatever. Or bring a friend in and you both get $50 off or whatever. So that there's a clear goal. The goal is to get them to come in. So once we have the goal, and once we're measuring the goal, exactly right. So now we can start to tweak a couple of different things. We can start to tweak different offers. So is the $50 offer better than maybe a 2-for-1 where you give them their first treatment and then 6 weeks later you give them another treatment for half off or something like that. So then now you can tweak the offer, but you can also tweak the manner in which you present the offer. So you could have one automation that sends 5 emails, one every day for 5 days with the offer in the 5th one. And I can test that against a shorter sequence, which is 3 emails every 2 days with the same offer. And now, once I've got an offer that converts, I can start tweaking how it's presented to see which way it converts better. Does the 5 emails every day convert better than the 3 emails every other day? So not only can you change up offers, but you can change up how you present the offer to see which way they're more receptive to.
Yeah, and this goes back to the whole kind of concept of where we finding channel optimization as well, because maybe some channels will not have the same cadences. So if you bring in people from a cold list versus a warm list of active participants, so it could be a list that's already been generated from some other event or something that is related to the topic, as opposed to a cold list, which might be a little bit different of a strategy. And I always think of it, and we do this a lot with chiropractors and with physical therapy, where, in the case of, let's say it's decompression therapy, which is a popular topic these days, and let's just say we're running a sciatica ad, we could drop them back to a video, right, for cold traffic to get them to just aware of the actual procedure, and then do a follow-up email campaign that is now post the video once we've had somebody in that chain who's we've measured how much they watched the video. So let's say they watched more than 50%, then we have a different set of rules to automate towards them, as opposed to someone who maybe didn't go past the first 30 seconds, right? And in that case, we know that they're still not educated, so we need to re-educate them again and see if we can get them further down the path. So there's a whole nurturing aspect to ActiveCampaign, and much like any other CRM tool, they all sort of do some of the similar things. But I think one of the advantages of ActiveCampaign, at least that we found, is the visualization of the drawing of the modules. So we can literally physically just draw stuff out and connect it all together, which is awesome.
Yeah, and just to loop back, you make a really good point there that a lot of people kind of miss as well, is that the messaging that you're sending to these prospects has to be different depending on where they are in that decision cycle. So and how familiar they are with you. So we talked a little bit about cold traffic. Never heard of you before. Never heard of Matt before. It's my first exposure to Matt. And warm traffic is somebody who may be following you for a while, or may have investigated a couple of different remedies for sciatica. So they're a warm, participated in a different offer, had been a customer of yours under a different circumstance. So not necessarily they're not familiar with that particular offer, but they're a repeat customer of yours. So the messaging and the offer that you provide each one of those 3 groups of people has got to be different. So a lot of times people just come up with one standard offer, one standard follow-up sequence, and that's it. And it doesn't convert well because it's not particularly targeted at anybody. And as you said, people go through a certain decision cycle before they choose a remedy, number one, and choose a practitioner of that remedy, number 2. So you have to determine where they are in that decision cycle, whether they're cold, warm, or hot, or whether they're problems even solution aware at all. So you've got problem aware people who know they have a pain in their back or pain in their legs, they don't necessarily know compression therapy is the right treatment for that. So they're problem aware, they know I have a problem. Then there's people who are solution aware, they're like, oh, I know I need compression therapy for this. I just don't know which practitioner is the best one to go to. So radically different messaging for those two different types of people.
Right. And what I was going to say is that kind of dovetails into the next topic, which is the use of the ClickFunnels advantages to help segment out audiences. And so we'll take the same example, and it's kind of interesting because we're going through this right now, where we can use, for instance, Facebook for just a really broad matched back pain problem. So someone who's, you can put up a case study of, let's say, a 6 to 10 second GIF video of someone who's before and after, like they look, benched over, they're having pain, and then you see them, a few seconds later where they're standing up and they look bright and cheery and, have back pain, here's, download this guide to understand the new breakthrough techniques for back pain relief. And then that takes them to the landing page. And then they're off getting their guidebook for back pain. And in this case, now we could put up in ClickFunnels. Now we could really think about doing some really Ryan Levesque type stuff, which is we could set up that funnel to specifically target, a different type of quadrant. So you could say, okay, great. You click the button and then you move into the next phase, which is thank you for taking this wonderful guidebook through relieving your pain. Where exactly have you had most pain, and is there any specific conditions? And then give them some radio buttons. Is this lower back pain, upper back pain, sciatica related, or is this just general back pain? Now, if it's sciatica related, they click that button, and now you can really hyper target. And that's where I think, people who know this business and take that approach in ClickFunnels to really start to think like, how can you build a very easy to sort of, it's like ClickFunnels to me is one of those things where it's just, you can take an idea and quickly turn it up into a landing page without having to really, interrupt designers and so forth. You really could just build it quickly enough and then test it. And I think that's the one thing that ClickFunnels, in front of ActiveCampaign ActiveCampaigns is, sort of the catch-all for everything else. But I just wanted your experience on ClickFunnels and what you think, things that are maybe new or things where we could take advantage of, some of the things you've had success with that, can help maybe the listener get through a little bit more, just kind of like mechanically, transparent ways to use the platform that, are beyond just setting up a landing page and having a click button.
Yeah, I think you touched on it exactly. It's the rapid prototyping and the rapid speed to market to test an idea. So even Russell himself said, and he shared this at the event, of like all the failures he's had along the way. Because I've had, he's uber successful guy, multi-millions of dollars in ClickFunnels, and but he even said himself, I have more losers than I have winners, right? And the way you make money is to burn through those losers as quickly as possible and find that one that's the winner, right? So I've had other kind of tech people, you and I are quite techie, and other people that we know are techie, and they say, well, ClickFunnels, you can build all that stuff with, this landing page tool and that, this tool in WordPress and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, you absolutely could. You could replicate everything you do in ClickFunnels with other tools that are out there, no question about it. But it would take you a much longer time to market, much more technical expertise and integration that needs to happen. Whereas the real power of ClickFunnels is I can have an idea this morning and can be running traffic to it in the afternoon. That's the power of it, right? So I can test, like you said, I can test 4 offers in a couple of days and find out which of those 4 offers is converting better. Then once I know that, then I can start running all the traffic to the best converting offer. One of the guys that spoke at the conference is a guy named Trey Llewellyn. I don't know if you know him, but he's had heaps of success with ClickFunnels. And he said, like when he first started, he was using ClickFunnels to put up a new funnel every week. That was his goal. 1 funnel a week, every week. just to do that, just to find the ones that are the gold and sift out the gold from the rocks and the rubble. And once he finds the one that works, just double down, triple down on the traffic, and boom, guy's making 6-7 figures out of a single funnel. So that's the real power, is the rapid prototyping, I think.
Yeah, and what we see in the field from just regular sort of discussions with doctors is that 95% of them don't have any funnel set up to start with. That's even usable, because most of it's just been set and forget forever. And the other 4% will be someone who's actually got a landing page with some sort of offer or some offer strategy, but it's just built into WordPress, so there's really no testing capabilities. And then maybe we'll find the 1% that will have some sort of idea of how to do the testing, because that's really where the magic is in this business. And we've figured that out as well. And you hit it on the head, which was, we tried to do it all of ourselves too. I mean, we tried to do everything. We just send it off to our designer and say, hey, build this new site, build this, A/B test it, on WordPress through the different plugins. And you know what? We just burned our guys out. They're like, sorry, it's not going to be done for another week. And I'm like, well, I get it, because you guys are busy. So we just started using ClickFunnels by default because we didn't have any more resources left. But now that we've used it, now the designers are using it, now it's like, wow, I could literally in an hour have something produced and we can start running it, which is just fantastic, because we've built enough templates that we kept, we're keeping them within the framework of ClickFunnels, and you can A/B test them right there, which is great. So you're actually now getting better, faster results. And for people who are running some significant budgets, this has amazing impacts on their productivity. And it really is it's a cure. It is a definite cure to bring costs down for practitioners. And it's a cure for getting the right person, the right market message. And I think that that's what gets overlooked, is that there's just so much brand matching in the market that, yeah, it does work, but it's only working at like a very limited, level.
Yeah, it's always the next question is, how can I get this to work better? How can I get it to convert better? How can I up the average cart value? How can I get a repeat business? So there's always, once you find the real thing is sifting through all the rubble to find the gold. Once you found that, then you can really use all the kind of conversion tools inside ClickFunnels to go, right, how can we put more traffic at this? What happens if we put different kind of traffic to it? What happens if we tweak the offer a little bit with some split testing? What about an upsell at the back of it? So there's so many multiple layers that you can continue to add on once you found the winning offer. But the important bit is to get to that winning offer as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and it's very true for any practitioner in any market, whether it's a very high-end spine surgery like robotic surgery, it's mid-level, some level surgery, or it's maybe a plastic surgeon, or even if it goes right down to the singular sort of 1 or 2 type of level practitioner who's doing simple things such as like acupuncture, or even again, we talked about Botox and some of these things that are more just really cash basis type of stuff. There's some impact there. In fact, we've gotten numbers down to like $12 a lead for some of these practitioners, where we've actually combed it down to a certain degree where we can say with predictability, hey, we know if we run X amount of dollars in Facebook, we will come out with $12 per lead emails, and we can actually with a little bit of chutzpah, we can get the phone number as well, and it brings up the cost per lead a little bit. But it just depends on what your offer is. Obviously, there's big differences when you have compelling offers. So I wanted to ask you. I mean, we've got this. We could talk about this ad infinitum, but I wanted to ask you more about the things that you're doing, and Active Market Academy. Can you talk about that? This is really cool, and I'm embarrassed to say that I'm not part of that yet, but I think it's relatively somewhat new. I mean, it's not like it's been around for a long time, but I know like a few of the members of SFB are in there, and I was like, holy crap, this is great. I didn't even realize that you were that further down the road with the membership model, which is for anybody who's interested in this stuff and loves to get involved in getting really good results. I mean, you've been at this, you've got examples, you've been working with this, so there's a real advantage. So talk to me about the academy?
Yeah, what I kind of saw, I like to help people. I'm a super geek, and I'll talk about this stuff and share this stuff all day long. But what I found was, with customers and clients that I was working with one-on-one, one-on-one's not a great model in the first place because it doesn't scale very well. But the kind of the more the membership community allows me to help more people, allows me to scale a bit more. So inside the membership community, what we do is we talk about, there's some training there on ActiveCampaign and other tools like ThriveCard and Podio, really how you can automate your business and get the most automation out of your marketing and most automation out of the back end delivery of your business. And all the kind of stuff we're talking about here, the marketing, creating offers, how to get those offers to convert. So inside the communities there are training courses on various kind of tools that people use for marketing. And there's also shared automation. So, if I need an indoctrination sequence or I need an onboarding sequence, well, here, just click on this link and you can suck it straight into your account. Right. So we're also providing all the resources to kind of shortcut the time to result, if you will. And then we also do live monthly training calls, either with myself or kind of master classes with some experts in their field. So like, for example, February was with Chris Lang, who's probably the smartest guy certainly the smartest guy that I know when it comes to deliverability. So all those emails that we're writing and those sequences that we have ready to go out, none of that matters if it doesn't actually get to their inbox, right? So getting an email to someone's inbox is kind of a black art, very similar to search engine optimization. There's a number of moving parts there and a number of things that are constantly changing. So we did a masterclass with Chris on deliverability and how to give yourself the best chance of getting into the inbox. So stuff like that. So educational content, resources on that you can just suck straight into your account and shortcut. And then we also go through some of the more popular marketing strategies that you might come across out in the internet there. For example, some of the members wanted to know how to do a survey funnel type, Ryan Lebeck type survey funnel. It's like, all right, well, we'll break that down. Here's what you do, step 1. Here's what you do, step 2, step 3, step 4. So really practical advice rather than just theory about here's how it works. You survey your customers, you put them into buckets and you send them different messaging. It's like, yeah, okay, that's great. But how do I actually do that? Like, it's Monday morning and I got my computer turned on. What's the first thing I need to do, right? So we talk about different survey tools, how to build those tools, how to get them onto your website, how to create the buckets, how to create those buckets in ActiveCampaign. Once you segmented the people, once they're segmented, then you have different automations that need to go out, and here's the shared automations you can put straight into your account. So really kind of more on the practical wrench-turning side of it rather than just a lot of theory without any implementation.
That's awesome. So what would you suggest for our listener if they're interested in connecting up with you and getting involved in your academy, and any next steps that you'd recommend that would help them on their path if they wanted to do this stuff themselves and start to learn how to build out these funnels and really start to think through the kind of how do I get the conversion and cost down, conversions up, and things flowing faster?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've got a podcast as well. We talk all about the marketing automation component and in the back end as well. So we don't kind of do what you do, which is kind of focus on the front end offers and targeting your people. We would kind of talk about, like what I said at the beginning, is once someone's given me my name and email address, or their name and email address, what happens then? So that's the Active Marketer podcast. If they want to go and check that out, and if they want to have a look around the academy, I can set up a free trial offer for your listeners, and you can send out a link in the show notes, and they can get in and have a look around and see if they like it.
That would be awesome. Great. Well, we'll put that link in the show notes. So we talked about your ability to run on different planets, because you're literally running on another planet if you're on Antarctica, and then you just ran in the desert, so we might as well just say that you ran on Mars, and now you're running on the moon, right? So,
and the mountains, if you got the mountains.
Exactly. I don't know how you do it. I'm flabbergasted. My knees would explode. And we know that you're going to be flying one of those Fokker 100s. We talked really quickly about, the general ActiveCampaign market, which is a CRM that, like Infusionsoft or any of the other general CRMs that are out there. I think ActiveCampaign is the most general friendly. I mean, we've been through a bunch of it, and I can't even talk about Infusionsoft anymore. It's just too much. To me, it's been simply put that ActiveCampaign for the general marketer or for the general practitioners and that we would work with, it just fits really well because it's so simple and so visually available to draw out conclusions and work through different variations. We worked through ClickFunnels after that, where we talked about some of the general purpose of ClickFunnels and its quick prototyping and super easy facilitation of building out ideas to, production. And then the great Active Market Academy and your participation in helping people out. That's just awesome. So next steps, I can get the link out for your free trial, which is awesome. Thank you very much. And anything else you'd like to offer to the folks who are listening, and or your contact information, if that's anything that you'd like to suggest or recommend?
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions at all, they can always hit me up. I've got a private Facebook group called Automation Nation. So if you just go to Facebook and type in Automation Nation, you'll find it, and just tell me you want to join, and we'll let you in. And happy to answer any questions anybody may have in there. It's probably the best place.
Awesome. Barry, thanks so much. It's been awesome. I can't wait to continue this dialogue. I think the only thing I would say is I'm going to miss you next week. I think you're going to be still in the Gold Coast, right? Instead of up in San Diego, right? For traffic.
Yeah, no, I'm back in Australia now, so I'll be here for a few months before I head off overseas again somewhere, I'm sure. But I'm looking forward to spending some time at home and on the beach.
Yeah, good for you. That's awesome. All right. Well, we'll catch you at some time down the road. Hopefully one of these days in the States we'll hook up.
No worries. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
So if you're considering new growth for your practice, go to PracticeBloom/start, and we can get you your free assessment. We can go through everything that relates to your product, your services, your competition, your website, your marketing, and we'll send you a great video that overviews everything. And we'll get you a report that will show you what you need to do to improve everything and start to grow your practice.